Melanin matters, we hold the space where black bodies thrive with strength and grace.
Melanin Matters is on the move again. I am Coach Robin Renee, your hostess for the Melanin Matters show, and we are in Chicago on the West Side. And if you know anything about how we do it here, I don't introduce my guests. I allow them to introduce themselves because I may say something they don't want you to know. So I will hand it over to Ms. Raven.
Hello, thank you so much, Coach Robin, for having me. My name is Raven at Ravenology 33 of Studio Harris. I am a Pilates instructor. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a fitness, wellness, arts connoisseur. I love moving. I love community. I love trying new things, both in the wellness, active spaces, and then also like in arts and crafts, theater, any type of performance where you can use your body to tell a story. And so that's a little bit about me. I love Pilates, I love dancing, I love hiking, I love strength training, and I'm a big ball of energy that I'm grateful to put on the mat and the reformers every day to help de-stress and decompress.
That's good stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned some things about you that I didn't know about you that's unique to fit you into the Pilates space, but I love a good backstory. So tell us how you got to Pilates.
Yes, so I'm a cheerleader and dancer at heart. I grew up in cheer gymnasiums on dance teams through grade school all the way through college, both in the school and like in my school system and also all-star teams. So a lot of the conditioning or core work that we were doing for like stretches or sprinting into like crunches, what we now know is like crisscross or lower lift, all those things, that was a part of our cheer conditioning on the mat. Mat work for core strength, mobility of wrist and ankles, all the things that you needed before you pulled stunts. So at the time, I didn't have the language or the experience of like, oh, this is Pilates mat or this is decompressing the spine, engaging the whatever. I just knew that I was like stretching. That's what I considered it to be. So going through cheer and dance, I got into Pilates as known it to be Pilates during a time that I was planning for a wedding. I was already strength training like 5 times a week. I love being in a fitness space, and I was at the Fitness Boutique by Tiffany, and she had Pilates mat, and I'm like, hey, I've never officially seen what this class is about, so I checked it out, ended up loving it, became very consistent with it, started looking into self-practice on YouTube videos, asking people at the gym that I was at. I went from like export to mode to now ultimately FFC. So within those spaces too, just picking up bits and pieces of the mat work. And I went there for a decompress and de-stress after social work and wedding planning, but I stayed because it helped me connect to my body, to my mind, to my breathing, helped me think more clear in my job and then also in my personal life. And it also helped me become stronger with strength training. And so that's how I got into Pilates consistently, taking it as just like a way to stay active during wedding planning and de-stress, and then finding out that it was very similar to what I had done like basically my whole life. Right. And now I'm here.
Yes. So look, you said something that just sparked another question in my head. You said it helped you to be more connected to your body. Now, I'm cheerleader, throw up the C's. I'm a cheerleader too, but what were you, a flyer or a base?
I was a flyer. I did both. I was primarily a flyer for like grade school, and in high school, I did fly and base here and there. So I have like some basing experience, but mostly flying, which I enjoy, and that's like now it turned into like Cadillac trapeze work. Right, so.
Exactly. So when you mentioned that, so y'all found out something. We got that cheer. We're throwing up them C's for life. If you don't know.
Contrology, C for contrology.
Listen,
now.
We're gonna use it. We got it. We're gonna take that. So the connection that you said you made in your body. So just thinking of cheer, at least for me, in my mind, the conditioning was to get the sport of cheer done. Yeah. Right? It wasn't, do you feel better in your body? It's like, you need to be strong for you so that you can hold your balance
stick
up.
The stunt, yeah.
Right. And then for me, as a base, to make sure that I don't drop anybody. But I didn't feel a connection to my body. I was just doing my job as a cheerleader.
Exactly.
So when you said the connection, did that open up something different for you?
Completely.
Okay.
It opened up a whole new, I feel like neurological pathway. Like the way that I connected with my body awareness was one thing before Pilates. On the mat, it's like you get into the breathing of it all, and the breathing allows you to slow down the literal oxygen, but also like all of the notes in your brain, closing those tabs so you can really think about what you're feeling, which is kind of a little bit of an opposite of what cheer is, where it's like you were thinking about what you're doing.
Correct.
And Pilates, of course you think about what you do, but we feel our way through it. Alignment and like precision is very important, where it can completely change an exercise. So in Pilates, I was focused more on slowing down, not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but like, what does that look like? Holding things, allowing time to stretch out so I can feel what the muscles around it felt like. And in turn, I think that I just had better spatial awareness of knowing like length, how far I am to things, how far I could bend before I start feeling unstable. And then and that just kind of like connected me to my body in terms of like, I know this left hip a little janky. I know my knee pops. I know I need to stretch out my toes first, or I'm gonna start with left leg because I'm a little weaker there. So connecting to my body in that way, but also like opening up the chakras, like you'll realize how much, maybe you won't, but hopefully you will realize how much just like stored energy, unreleased, maybe sometimes trauma that we carry physically, emotionally, mentally, that once you are focusing on your breathing, your connection to your muscles, your connection to your mind, all of those things are like looking for a way out. So feeling safe on the mat was really important for me, like safe enough to trust myself to try an advanced exercise, or feeling connected enough to be like, you know what, I can't pulse here without breaking my back and things like that. So Pilates has helped me just think about what I'm doing, but how I'm doing it more intentionally. And it's really like a light bulb moment. A whole new world.
For me, I was a cheerleader as well, but I was also a gymnast. And so when I found out that Mr. Pilates was a gymnast, so my body felt the familiarity of the acrobatics of gymnastics when I didn't even really know what Pilates was. It's like, but my body felt good. Like I didn't know the names of things. Yeah. I'm like, I remember this. I remember because my events, I was floor, uneven bars, and rings. And rings was a boys' event, so I was unique, in that aspect.
Take that strength, okay? That full
So
body.
when you said that connection, it was like, that's what clicked for me. I'm like, I need to learn more about this. And that's what made me want to dig in further to learn more about it.
Same.
Okay, so now is there a particular space, and in space, I mean space in Pilates? Is it the mat work? Is it the reformer work? Is it the barrel? Is it the Cadillac? And so I will say this, for people who have a misunderstanding of what Pilates is, it's not a mat Pilates or reformer Pilates or Pilates is a system. It's an entire system that uses different equipment so that you can execute the exercises that Mr. Pilates created. So we have to put that in there first. So is there a certain space in Pilates that you favor a little bit more in the system?
That is a very good question. And I would say not favor more, but I have more lived experience on the mat. And I think it is interesting to start wherever. Like you can, reformer offers its unique set of abilities and like benefits as the mat does as well. But I would say I don't have a favorite because I genuinely love all the apparatus. I do connect to the mat most frequently. I would say in my personal practice, just because it's the most accessible. You can literally do it from anywhere. And also because of like the body weight structure of it, you don't need the machine, you don't need the ring, you don't need the ball. Those things can be helpful and also will be helpful, but I would say the mat I do most often, but I love the Cadillac. Like I love the full trapeze moment. I like being hanging upside down and doing overhead things. I was a monkey bar kid, so not into gymnast of like formal training, but I do love to like hang and use upper body grip strength. But I also really have grown to love the chair. And that is I know it could be a hot take sometimes, but I think it's an interesting apparatus for me because I can kind of play with loading things and layering things on the chair for balance specifically that I've been working on. I'm sure like reformer and barrel and just like mat work can do the same. But lately, as of this part of my like journey and my practice, I'm loving the mat and the chair. But I do try to get to at least 2. So reformer and chair, or mat and reformer and Cadillac.
Okay.
At least 2 of the apparatuses in my practice, like as an instructor, I try to get to 2 to 3. So one of those, like one of the utility or accessory towers, arm spring, leg springs after mat or reformer work.
Okay.
Just because I think it provides like a more holistic. I love a good barrel though. I would love to get a baby barrel here,
right,
just to kind of decompress and stretch
yes,
out. We use the
yes,
ladder barrel a lot at FFC. So, so I would say if I had to pick, I would say mat, only because of the accessibility and the way that you can modify it. And then second to that, right now it would be chair, just because that's my, like, that's the vibe I'm in. But no other reason for that.
Okay. Yep. No worries. So you mentioned accessibility, and so what we do want you to know that mat is the most accessible space, and I'm just using the word space for lack of another word that's downloading right now, but the most accessible space in the Pilates system, because basically it's just you and Jesus, child. It's just you and Jesus down there on the mat, but
you and that Holy Trinity, that mind, body, spirit.
Listen. But what it does, you know, not only does it make it more accessible to many people, not just the number of people, but many body types, many sizes. A lot of times people get intimidated, and this has been my experience. I don't know if it's been yours, but when people have come to my classes, mainly Black women, I'll just say that, and they give me their experiences that they had in other classes, they did not feel good. They didn't feel good being in those classes. So we do want you all to know that mat, this is just me, I'll let Raven give her opinion. Mat is where it begins. That's where the journey begins. I know a lot of times people see a reformer and they want to get on it and they want to slide all around, not knowing you could bust your head wide open on the reformer. But anyway, we ain't gonna get into the
You absolutely can.
You can, because especially if you don't know and if your balance is not, because how many moving surfaces do we stand on? Like we don't. If we're not at the amusement park.
It definitely takes like a little prerequisite flow, apparatus scan, need to know, like FAQ type of,
exactly,
for sure.
So I say if you're a beginner, begin with the mat. You'll work your way up. And mat, contrary to popular belief, is not boring. Maybe it's the teacher. I don't know. I don't want to talk about your teacher, but maybe it's the teacher. But mat is not boring, because there's so much, just like Raven said, there's so much that you can do in terms of mixing it up. Like you still can, I'm going to respect the order. That's just me. I respect the original order. And let me put this in here. I ain't into the East Coast, West Coast, classical, contemporary beef. I ain't in it. Look.
Both of them.
Ain't
That's
in it.
me.
Ain't in it. That's what I'm saying. Ain't in it.
But in the original order, same.
But in the original order and authentic, because I have a great respect for Mr. Pilates and the work that he put in. So, and then he already has it done. So I don't need to go and recreate no stuff.
It gives you everything
exactly.
you need,
but if I want to pull something out, like I can spend 10, 15, probably even 30 minutes dissecting the teaser. Like I can just pull one exercise out. So that's what I mean by that. So more accessible, just like Raven said, but it's also the place where you get to learn more about yourself. And even if you want to go further in the journey, and then when you realize in terms of that, all those principles, the control, the centering, you know, the flow, the precision, not perfection. I teach authentic,
That's a gem right there.
Listen.
Not perfection.
Not perfection, it's precision. So I teach authentic Pilates, not aesthetics. You can wear your cute outfits and take pictures after class, baby. But when we in class, we get into the work. We get into the work. So that's what I would say for a beginner. So what would you suggest for a beginner?
I would suggest the same. Mat work is the most accessible. It's just you, Jesus, mind, body, spirit, a mat. There are lots of modifications that you can take, and I deeply believe that doing mat first helps you connect to your own body. So when you put your body on like a moving apparatus like the reformer, you already have an idea of where your kinks may be, what your quirks are, what feels like what just on your body weight alone. So the springs and the loads of things and all of the extra bits and bops aren't like confusing, but also aren't counterproductive for your work.
True.
So I think the mat is a great way to start, because you can do it it from anywhere. It's easily accessible, just standing or seated. You can do mat work in a seated position, like this could be your mat. You can stand and do standing exercises that would mimic you sitting down, as a way to kind of get that mind to muscle connection, stretch out the back, maybe get a little bit more aligned in hip, knee, ankle mobility. So when you put yourself on a reformer, you know, you can never really anticipate until you're there, but you kind of have an idea of left knee needs a little bit more support, or right hip, low lombard is this or that, because you've already put yourself on we like to say the mat is like your grid. You put yourself there, you say, which shoulder, which neck, you know what I mean? What feels like what? So when we use the apparatus to help us, we know maybe 2 springs because you're a little tight here, maybe 4 springs because we want to feel the strength. So I think that the mat is the most approachable and accessible because it's just you and your natural body, your muscles, how they move, maybe limited range of motion, and doing the mat will kind of help open you up. Vertebrae, hips, breathing techniques that you can then take to the other apparatus. But of course, if you have like chronic pain or recent surgeries, things like that that are very, you want to make sure that you're doing, of course, we always want to be safe and precautious. Safety first. But if you have like chronic pain or things, any recent surgeries or concerns, ailments that prevent you from getting on the mat, then I would say like still Cadillac work, like on the big bed mat. Reformer as well, then something that would provide an elevated platform for you to lie on. But definitely the mat, just because it's you and you. And you can take so many of the tools to the other places.
That's true. All right, so let's get into some of these myths and misconceptions about Pilates. Okay, so we both came in not knowing what Pilates is. Pilates still in existence? So we both came in not knowing what Pilates is. So I didn't have a working knowledge of the myths and the misconceptions. Did you? Before coming in, not at all. I think it's like once you go to the first few classes, then you start picking up. But like I had no idea of like what is or isn't. You know what I mean? So then, what was the first myth that you encountered?
That like myth buster, something that I was like, this is not true at all.
Correct.
Pilates is just stretching.
Okay.
First and foremost, and that is myself. Like my past self, future self is like, girl, you were doing way more than stretching back on them cheer and dance teams. It wasn't like the original order, so maybe that's why, but like it's definitely mat Pilates work. And I think that's a myth that is very easily debunked once you're doing it, because you realize how much core engagement, breathing, mind to muscle connection, back work, flexion, extension it takes, and it's completely different from like a static hold of a stretch. So the one big myth is Pilates is just stretching. It involves strength, stretch, stamina, stability, but not just stretching.
Not just stretching. Okay, so one myth for me was Pilates is not a workout. Like Pilates is relaxing. Because when I started hearing people say that, I'm like, well, am I really doing Pilates? Right. When I would hear people say, well, it's so relaxing and I was so chill. But when I was doing it, I'm like, I'm sweating. Like, am I really doing Pilates? Yeah. But then my question changed. Are you really doing Pilates?
Because I know I'm over here working. I know what I'm up to. Because if you went in there and you were so relaxed and you were so chill, like you might want to question whether you were doing Pilates. Yeah.
Right. So as I mentioned before, we're not into the East Coast, West Coast battle, but there is a divide, and we're going to be honest about that. There is a divide in the industry between the classical community and the contemporary community. First, I'm going to ask,
I can agree.
Do you have, I don't even want to say an opinion. What's your take? That's what I'll say. What's your take on the classical versus contemporary contention?
I don't understand it. I truly don't, because I think that's like comparing vinyasa with whatever other yoga or like a one hit style like Zumba for some other type of dance fitness. I think they both provide unique things. My take is that in Pilates, for me as an instructor and as a Pilates practitioner, to always seek out at least one classical class, or like foundations where they say maybe we go through the original order, where it doesn't have like a sculpt or a all bands, and you're not like doing 12 things.
Correct.
So you can really find the foundation of what it means to decompress your spine and like use your core and breathing. My hot take on it is that Pilates doesn't need to be considered sculpt, because a little pulse will definitely do the trick, or like holding with the circle, things that the exercises that we already have, slowing them down, changing the tempo.
Yes.
Maybe even, I know like this is a hot take, add in free weights. That's considered more of a contemporary thing, because you know Pilates is you and body weight, but even that I'm okay with. I don't particularly understand the concept of like putting 10-pounders, bands, toes sitting on the reformer, like too many pieces of layers on the reformer. So like that type of contemporary Pilates where you're doing essentially like Bulgarian split squats on one spring with 50-pound weights, that seems dangerous.
Very.
So my concern with like contemporary Pilates is when it goes into the strength training with weightlifting and adding in like movements that aren't a part of the natural order, or the original order.
Correct.
Where it's more like a strength training thing, where you might want to revisit if you use the apparatus or the springs. So I think that classical Pilates is always the most foundational way to go, because you can use that and build on it, especially if you like strength training already, or yoga or running or dancing. You'll find a lot of what you do on the mat in classical original order. Those hinges and twists, those will help you when you're like deadlifting or running or
Correct.
doing gymnastics. Contemporary Pilates can be just like a mixture of everything, to where you're like, I don't know if I'm pulsing or squeezing or lifting or holding. Like, am I supposed to feel the tension? Am I supposed to feel the stretch? Like, what am I doing? I think it's adding in too many things to where your muscles are maybe working opposing each other.
Yes.
So I love the idea, because I'm a strength training girly. I like to pick up weights. I like to do all types of fitness classes, but Pilates at its core, I think, is great in the original format. And then adding in whatever you feel would be best for your practice, whatever is inclusive to what you're already doing. If you're a weightlifter, throw in some weights at your caution. If you're a runner, add in some, whatever you want to do to strengthen that part. But I think keeping Pilates as classical as possible is the safest route, but not always the trendiest or the
Correct.
most relaxing, which is going back to the relaxing thing.
Right.
Like, this is not Pilates, I'm sorry, but like arms up and down, like that's a way to engage, but like that's maybe a portion of one of the moves that we would do.
Correct.
And so when we talk about sculpt, I just think it's an opportunity and a great window to open up to add in variations, but you may be veering off from like the core work of it all.
Right, you going around the corner. Come on back.
Come on back. You just saw what was over there. It's okay.
Come on back over here. So the way I look at it, again, like I said, I don't jump into that battle. I understand it though. I do understand the controversy around it, and two, the confusion around the two, right? I do understand that. So that's why I started identifying as authentic versus aesthetic. Well, that's one reason. And the other is y'all be doing too much on social media. But anyway, so we'll get to that. But the way I look at it with the classical, just like you said, you have what was already done. If the contemporary fuses so much stuff into it that makes it no longer look like what it started out, call it something else, because that's what it is. So an example, if you were jumping double dutch, right? So you got the two ropes, you got the two turners, or I mean, you from the hood, I'm just saying you got a rope tied on the fence, but you only need one turner.
You got one, yep.
But anyway, so if you jump in double dutch, right? So you're jumping, we know that. So all the parts that go with that. Okay, so you don't have another rope, you don't have another turner. Okay, so it's just you. So now you single in the rope by yourself. Okay, you still jumping, you still got a rope, you don't have your two turners on the end. Okay, but now you done got on the trampoline. Where's the rope? What's turning? You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I look at it.
It's two separate jumps now. Yeah,
you're still jumping, but you're not You're not doing double dutch anymore.
Yeah,
Like it's
I
no
like
longer
that
double
analogy.
Yeah,
You're still jumping, but it's not double dutch.
Right? It's not double dutch. So when it gets to the point where it is fused and is diluted so much that you can't recognize it, I think there's nothing wrong with identifying it as something else. Give them credit. Like, Kathy Grant was, good for that. Like, this is my work, this is Joe's work, right? It's okay if you're gonna fuse that in. One, make sure that your people are safe, but another, you ain't gotta lie to kick it. Like you.
Every class I give an overview of this is going to be the original order, a few contemporary variations, a few static holds of deep stretches. So people, one, like at the gym, when we have apprentices or people that are currently in training, they come to observe. So I try to always take the original order. So this is what you're being tested on. This is the format. But then you also have like gym goers that aren't, if they're well practiced, they're probably versed in the order and understand it. But some people, this is their very first class. And so to give an overview of what to expect or what my goal is, I think is very important safety wise, but also for just like to follow the flow. So if you have been here, or even if you're a seasoned instructor, if I'm like, oh, we're taking the original order, a few contemporary variations, you understand that might mean maybe lower lift, maybe we've taken one leg down, crisscross, maybe we're using the bender ball or spine stretch forward, we might be lifting arms, like contemporary variations in that format of just changing slight things, adding pulses, adding props in, but not too much veering off of the flow of the order. And I think that's important because some people are anticipating, they do Pilates. They want those hundreds in
Correct.
I always will start with like a nice finding your deep core breathing, but straight into the 100. That is the mat work. Some people want to feel that. Some people are like, you know what, I need a moment. And you're like, all right, after the 100, we'll stretch here for a second before the roll up, but we are going to continue that order.
Respecting the order.
Exactly. I think that that's helpful for new people that can kind of get an idea. She said, maybe they don't know what that means now, but like original order, and I'll say it's a repertoire, it's a system, week to week. These exercises, maybe some variations of them, maybe a few added in between those, but you should expect to develop some familiarity with the motion that you're doing. And I think that's a great way to frame it. Even if you want to toss in other stuff, I try to be mindful of that. If I'm not going straight into something, I'll say to prepare for saw, let's take little torso twists, a little variation, so people understand that I'm veering off a little bit to prepare for the next thing. And that's been pretty helpful, I think, in communicating with larger groups, people that are following your order or people that have no idea what's coming next. They kind of can anticipate it.
That makes sense. Another myth or misconception.
Ooh, yes.
Pilates and yoga is the same thing.
Ooh, I just heard that today. I kid you not.
What you got on that?
I think, well, that is obviously a very big myth. Ghostbusters. The Pilates and yoga are not the same thing. And I think they both offer very important things for our body. I have done a lot of yoga classes. I'm not a licensed or comprehensive certified yoga instructor, but I do have some experience in different yoga classes. And I would say, I try to say Pilates is focusing on decompressing the spine, engaging the core to build and improve mobility, posture, flexibility, range of motion. Yoga in my practice for myself and in my experience is to deep stretch, to connect with mind and heart, to focus on my alignment so that when I am using more like dynamic movements, like in Pilates, those hundreds, I already know what it means to like plant my ribs or what it means to like use my deep core because I've spent time in yoga in maybe a child's pose or in a cat-cow situation. So it's very much so a myth. I don't think they are the same at all. I do think that they share principles and layer on top of each other. And that if you have experience in yoga, Pilates will be a great transition and vice versa. One, in my opinion, yoga is, I still consider it like, I guess you're doing like a flow, but a lot of, it's like static hold and stretching out. And then Pilates, we use that energy, use our breath work to drive our motion. Okay.
So I'm going to add to that. Again, big old myth. I'm adding to that. So take what Raven said and I'm going to add to that. So I was talking to, this is one of our colleagues, this is from years ago, and he was saying how people think Pilates and yoga are the same, and he was like, people think they're siblings, they're really cousins. I said, I'm gonna use that. See,
I like that.
I gotta give them credit.
They are really cousins. They are cousins. They are in a club. We all fam.
Yeah, we are
definitely cousins.
Yes. And so the way I identify them as belonging in the same family of low impact exercises that will emphasize what Raven was talking about, the whole flexibility, the slowing down a little bit, because Pilates, you can't stay.
You still got it, you can't stay, you got to move.
So that, as far as that is concerned, and then with the way we're relating our bodies to the world around us, I see, and as a personal practice in yoga, I mean, I had like some practical yoga experience, but that's a whole nother story with the Christians, child. But anyway, Christians and yoga.
What have you been hearing from the Christians?
Listen, I'll get back to that. Let's do this right now. I'm just saying. Okay, so the way I look at it is with yoga, at least for me, that's more of a spiritual practice, not religious, because religion and spiritual are not the same, where you are taking what's around you to center, to relate yourself to what's around you. So you're bringing it in. Pilates is like James Brown. You're going to use what you got to get what you want.
Okay, I really like that. And I think that's a great analogy.
That's how it works for me.
That is.
And that's how I see it.
And that's how it is. Yoga is a very spiritual practice. You connect, like Pilates, we use the mind, body, spirit. Yoga is very spirit-based, spirit-led, and using, like you said, your external energies to try to ground yourself. I think that's a great way to put it. And then Pilates, you start there to get that mental stimulation,
and you go for
then you go outwards.
So Pilates is requiring work. At least for me, it's requiring work. Yoga, even though it requires work, but the work that I'm doing is to get me to a place of stillness. So once you get to Shavasana,
to quiet the mind. Pilates is like, all right,
get up,
think about it. What you feeling?
Don't
what you doing?
Don't stay there too long. Don't stay there too long. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So. All right, now, y'all, we're going to get to the tea. We're going to get to some tea.
Tea time.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, y'all want to know what we be talking about? So give me, all identities have been concealed to protect the innocent. Give me something funny that you just did not expect in your class.
All the time, and this is probably... I guess it's more common than I realized, but I recently started having like a serial gas passer.
That was mine. Keep going.
I kid you not.
Keep going.
It's in math class, and I know who the person is, and I would just assume it's the work that you're doing. You're squeezing, muscles are engaging, but I had to quit. We have to think quickly, be quick-witted and on our toes. I had to like really hold myself in from like being like, now who in here? You know what I mean? Just like going off on a whole little, yap session. Because I didn't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. Like that wasn't my aim. I just found it like naturally hilarious to be like, this is one of those moments where we're inhaling slow. Like the music is like, background, and then you just hear someone let them loose. So that is that's been happening in math class. And initially I'm trying to figure out if it's like, is it my pacing, or no, it's definitely like what you had or what you ate, or you know, whatever's going on with your digestion. But a hot take for that is just like, maybe I don't want to tell people how to like eat or when to eat, but like things that make you gassy, or having like a big power lunch before you do core workouts and have to lift and lower your legs and be in very sometimes intimate positions with people next to you. I think it's worth of like a little scan of like, can I just have maybe this instead? So the big thing is definitely like the gas passing, or like another would be like people, when you clearly hear people finding their breath and maybe like a little snorkel comes out, or like a sneeze, sniffle type of things. Just very natural, but like bodily reactions. Luckily, no like TMI, but like no bodily fluids or anything in any classes. People getting sick or dizzy, but definitely some gas passing. Yeah, that was mine too. So that when it first happened, I was like, okay. I didn't I didn't even think about it until like you're in a wave of like doing classes, and you're like, wow, the first time you're like, okay, this is a one person, one off class, but then you realize like, oh, it's at least somebody, and maybe every third class is gotta go ahead and let one loose. So that's, let's see, what's another? Right, that was for me. So my experience with that, when I first like smelt it, and I didn't dealt it. Whoever smelt it, that wasn't me.
At first I was like, okay. And then just like you said, I had to look at the fact that, you know, we are moving in those positions and engaging those muscles, which is good. Like, hooray, you know, you are engaging the muscles because clearly, you know, you're releasing some things. So what I started doing, so if you were in my classes back then when I had them diffusers, them the class I'm talking about. So I put some diffusers, right? I did some diffusers. Then I would also do some classes until I kind of figured out like where it was coming from, because I just didn't know. So I would just do the diffusers beforehand. People come in, oh, this smells so good. We want to keep it smelling good.
Please.
But then I would go with, I would bring in like 3 or 4 different essential oils and have people like pick a cotton ball and then put some oils on, and they can just leave it on their mat. Like, you know, like if anytime if you want to just, you know, put your mind in a different state, you know, from aromatherapy. So I kind of infuse aromatherapy.
I think that's awesome.
Then I started including it in my spiel, right? Child, farts happen in Pilates. I mean, don't even worry about that. Farts happen. That means you're doing it right. That means you engaging your. I mean, I would just have to roll it on in there so that person wouldn't feel like I shouldn't come back. I mean, because you should. Like, you should come back. You should keep working.
You should keep
working. I had to listen. I had to, because I always keep small air freshener, you know, bottles of air freshener with me. But yeah, that was funny.
That's something that like it makes complete sense once you're like immersed in practice and in classes, but like it caught me off guard the first few times.
Me too. I was like, wait a minute.
And you've been in, like, I've been in fitness classes where that's happened, but it's mostly when you are doing those, like,
correct,
those type of, you really gotta pull it together. So that is funny, but it's also natural.
Right, it's also natural. So we're not laughing at y'all.
We're not laughing. We laughing with y'all, but we also saying
it was funny.
It's ways to.
It was funny, and I had someone to actually fall asleep in one of my classes. I was like, how did she fall asleep?
How'd you fall asleep?
But she apologized after class. She was like, I was like, cool. I mean, you know, I was like, listen to the music, you know, because sometimes we don't know what's going on in people's lives. But she actually fell asleep. I was like, okay, so she clearly was exhausted, but she actually fell asleep. Yeah. And I had to.
And that might have been what she needed. And
I didn't bother her at all. I didn't bother her at all. She was like, I just started listening to the music, and you know, and I felt no problem. She missed class, but she was there. You know,
but she was there.
She got some rest.
She got what.
And I was not
her body and mind.
Listen to your body. I always tell people that listen to your body. But that was unique too. But I mean, that was definitely no judgment, because child, we be tired.
I definitely welcome people to just decompress on the mat.
Yep.
If at any point, any exercise, any tempo, anything feels, and you feel like you just want to take that connection with recentering, I always say to just lie on the mat. Whether we're prone, side, just you can always come back to like a nice flat spine and lying on the mat. And
work on your breathing.
And work on your breathing.
That's Pilates.
That's Pilates.
If you don't know, when people say that you can't do Pilates every day, the breath work is Pilates. So you could do that.
Standing right up against it, inhale, exhale, push, inhale, like that it is. Even if you don't get onto the mat or onto a reformer every day, finding connection with deep breathing, maybe a little front, back, torso twist, side to side to wake it up. I think it's a really good practice to just do.
You can stay safe in traffic by working your pelvic floor. I'm just saying, stay safe in traffic. Don't hurt nobody else. Don't hurt nobody else.
Okay.
But if you get some extra tingles, we ain't responsible for that.
We're not responsible for it.
We're not responsible for that.
It might not be the worst thing. Speaking of tingles, I guess another like behind the scenes thing is the Pilates shakes. The Pilates shakes are a real thing, and even in my body, there is still very frequently where I'll be like, let me try this on another spring, or like, you know what I mean, let me add something, let me pulse, and then you feel that compulsion, you feel the shake. I've had the pleasure of leading or guiding people through like their first practice or their first session. So that's, you know, it can be common, especially when you're first finding out how those muscles feel. And you can kind of, you ain't seen or heard of, and you see that light bulb on people's face where they're like uncontrollably shaking, and it's like they are not concerned, but also very like, it's a new experience. You're like, am I shaking because it's working? Am I shaking because I'm about to collapse? Like, and so for me, just keeping people present in like what they're doing, especially in a group class where it's other things happening around them, so they feel safe enough to listen to their internal stimuli as a result of what's going on. Maybe the shakes subdue, maybe you're done with that rep by that time, but the Pilates shakes is something that each person experiences it differently, and as an instructor, I just try to be mindful of like when, how, what, so people don't like hyperventilate and then it Like if you're in a tree prep and that you start shaking, I don't want you to, you know what I mean, lose it. I want you to recognize like what is shaking, why it is shaking, how we can connect and correct.
Yeah.
So the Pilates shakes are also something natural, normal, but also something that can be like modified with the different exercise, with slower form, with maybe a slight adjustment. But sometimes you just got to get them shakes out. You just got to wake up. You got to wake it up.
I got something for you. What about that front row diva who's a professional because they do YouTube videos and they come in your class and they're not listening to your cues.
They got all the modifications and all the variations.
They're doing their own thing.
Yes.
Like you're teaching and they're doing their own thing. So what's your go-to to redirect somebody
I
like
always try to say, please, I do say very like almost verbatim, please follow the guide of my cues. For safety, for precision, to allow yourself connecting. And then I say, we'll add in layers, variations. Or there's also time for like, the first thing is if I see somebody doing something completely different, like we're rolling like a ball and you're an open leg rocker, I'll say, please connect with rolling like a ball using the sound of my voice and cues to find whatever, to find your scoop, find your deep core, we can build up to. Like sometimes I'll say directly what they're doing. We'll build up to teaser because that person knows what, or we'll build up to open leg rocker because they know what they're doing and what we're doing. If it's somebody that's just like a front row diva that I have every week, which that does happen.
Ooh, child.
I've had that. Now we're on like a very, again, like authentic, real person to person conversation where it's like, I know you want to take the advancements and all of like if we're doing like, I'm not doing corkscrew today. We're going straight into the saw, you know what I mean? But like if you want to stretch it out, please do so now so the people behind you or like around you, we can all follow the same. And that's tend to work. Like I'll check in with those specific people. How you feeling? I know you want to take this advancement or this advancement. This is what I got planned. And it's usually like, especially at the gym, at fitness farming clubs, I have a few that are like, this is their mat, their front row, they are here. You got all the things, and that's completely fine, but let's layer it up. So if we're rolling like a ball and you want to open leg rocker, can we get like 8 rolling like a balls out of you just real quick? And then, you know what I mean, extend so we can connect to the actual order, but also so you don't throw anybody else off, or like even small twitches, like people know what they're up to in their body. I always say, trust your body. You are your best doctor, outside of, definitely go to your doctors and all of those, but like the first thing I do is just say it out, please follow the sound of my voice and my cues. Please take each exercise as we build up to insert whatever exercise you're doing. And if it doesn't register, if they're still doing the same thing, I'll say it like very like, we're gonna take rolling like a ball 3 more times so people understand and like I'm guiding you to this specific move. There have been times where I've been like, hey, can you do like 4 and then stretch it? You know what I mean? Like I will literally come up to you because I don't want to impede on your practice. Like if they're similar buildable things, like we're doing crisscross, and I've started with the knees bent, but we're gonna extend the legs. That's something different than like if we're trying to do 1 leg teasers and you're in a boomerang.
Correct.
Like that's a different thing.
Correct. So yeah. She's nice. Let me tell you what I be doing with them. What I be doing. The front row divas. I use them as an assistant.
I will say, like so-and-so is doing here, the full expression, taking
But what I will do is I will put a pause in the class and make everybody, I don't want to say make, whatever, but have everyone to view them doing it. So that does several things for them. One, they get the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
But then I get to cue you while you being the front row diva, and then I'm going to slow it down enough to where you're going to quit playing with me.
And you're gonna go back to doing what you want to. You're gonna be like, okay, yeah, thank you, I got it.
So I had one that was kind of tough. They would keep doing it, like, okay, here's my lovely assistant. What's your name? Kristen. Okay, Kristen's gonna be my lovely assistant today. Kristen, I need you to extend your leg, to bend your knee or whatever. We'll do, and this is what it looks like, okay? And if I were to ask you to take a scoop, can you take a scoop? Can you bring your chest up? Like I do all that, but by that
break
time,
it down. But by that time, you're like, all right,
she ain't even interested in it no more. She's like, what?
I need a breather. You know what? I will do that exercise. Exactly.
And another way, and I say this in like 95% of my classes now, because I've been doing classes with just a bunch of people that I don't know, right? So I'll let them know I have not done an assessment on you. If you have super fantastical powers, they may not activate today. I don't want to witness that. I have my insurance paid, it's current. I've never filed a claim and don't plan on filing one today. It's too much paperwork. And especially if you're not doing what I'm cueing, I'm not filling it out at all. When the people come, I'm saying, I don't know what she's talking about.
This is for safety and like for reducing possible risk or injury.
Exactly.
I like the idea of demonstrations and demos in mat class and in the studio, in apparatus. And I do those frequently. More, I will say, admittedly, lately, more in the reformer studio. On the mat, the class levels are kind of mixed, so I just kind of like throw in layers so everybody to the left of you may not do the same thing as you, but you're getting the work. But I do like that because, as you said, one, it does put the intention and attention on what this person is doing. Okay, this is your move, this is what we're doing, let's make sure that you're doing it safely. Let's also use it as a learning opportunity for the rest of the class or our members, our group here. Maybe they want to try that now or in the future. So here is a safe way that we can set it up, build it up. And I think that's really important because you then can, your front row divas, the people that are consistent, they know all the variations, they feel seen and supported and also helpful to where they're like, yeah, this is the advancement. And then it, like she said, lights the fire under them to where they're like, all right, now she's cueing me, so like this feels a little different than maybe what I was up to, but like you really get the work. So the people get a little breather. The front row assistant and diva gets the cueing and like the precision that they can use for once you go back to the full flow. But then also it's a learning opportunity to be like, this is why we flow together too, you know.
To cut out the shenanigans, malarkey, and foolishness.
Oh, malarkey, I love that word.
Shenanigans, malarkey, and foolishness. Cut it out. Okay, music or no music?
Oh, that's a hot take. Mixed. I will say it does depend on the vibe of the class. I let the class and like the energy of what I'm walking into kind of determine. I do start off with light music as far as like frequency, sound healing, spa type of music, chakra balancing energy. So that way when we're breathing, getting those hundreds, you're not like trying to go to the beat. I've done that before, like trial and error, learning experience and being like, 132 beats per minute is not like, that's not what I'm up to. But I have had that. So I will say it's kind of like a toss up. I do like to use the music in group mat class when we're talking about things like changing tempo or going for the stamina portion, but I do like to build it up. So if I am using music, I'll start off with just like background tones and then it'll go into like lo-fi beats where you may hear a doom. You can still catch a beat, and then maybe towards the ab series of 5, who knows, if everybody's looking, feeling, moving fast, we might want to speed it up a little bit. But I do go in and out. The reformer studio, I veer into just background. We have like a knob, the spa music that's built into the gym, and I've found that I've adopted that here where it's just like background lo-fi jazz, always instrumental for the most part. If I'm in like a Pilates party and somebody's like, turn my birthday up, you know what I mean? We gonna have some hip hop and some clean lyrics in there. But for the most part, I do no music or very light lo-fi jazz, lo-fi spa music, energy healing frequencies on the reformer, and then a mat I do a mixture of those. Okay,
yeah, I like music too. I listen to the lyrics first, so I don't just like hear a beat, because I learned my lesson with that, because I be hearing radio versions, and when I hear the real,
that's
I'm
me.
like,
that's why I gotta go instrumental, because I would love a beat,
they saying
and it'd be
all
like,
that?
you said what?
Exactly.
Girl, turn it down.
So I use like that affirming type of music, so like an NDRE, you know, some Jill, some, you know, Lettucey. Like I use
good
that
music, things that you are pouring
Leela
in
James,
mentally.
right? So those things that help you to identify who you are, you know, as a person. I use it because like one of my favorite ones to use is Bravo by Lettucey, right? So by the time you're done, give yourself a hand clap. Right, and so and then Demetra McKinney, the song that's It's Not That Easy, that we usually get to that on the playlist towards the end. And like, you hear what she's saying, like it's not that easy, but it's possible. Like you can do it. So I pull from the lyrics to help people to stay
I like that too.
connected. Yeah, connected with the music.
I do love intentional lyric placement. Like if there are words and like if there is a monologue to be told, I want it to be very uplifting, empowering, and like very specific to what we are up to. Correct. It doesn't need to be like, 7 p.m. I had that before. Exactly. It was a 7 p.m. Friday class at a party, but like, things that help you like feel good and connect and feel proud of what you're up to. And tempo is a big thing. I've learned that through trial and error. It really is. Hit style, people love it. Gym, and I think it's like your audience or like the class that you're in front of as well. Like in my practice, I'm learning that I have like maybe a signature vibe, like what I feel works for me, what I'm used to teaching, and it's like a slow, middle, fast, slow. Like that's how I go in order. But also, if the group in front of me is like it's 6 p.m. and they want a deep stretch, I'm not gonna like add those high tempos in. Or if it's, most of my classes are not 6 p.m. I'm mostly like on the other end, 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. And those classes are like, either we've had our coffee, we're up and moving, let's start with the jump board, or like we need 5 minutes. Yes. So just going there every day, knowing that I'm gonna start with connecting to your breathing, start it off slow, wake you up. But those hundreds, we're gonna build it up, not with music, but with your breath. And everything else from there, we just kind of let it flow. So I love a mid-tempo, I love a sculpt. So like I don't usually teach them, but I do like to look at them online, and I do like to add them into my practice where I'm like, and 3, and 4, but that's not like the
exactly for your flow, for your class. All right, good stuff. All right, y'all, so we are going to wind this party down. We are going to get a tour of the studio, but we got should we call it a lightning round? Lightning round, or just some questions, about you.
Ooh, rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire questions. Let's get it. Walking or running?
Ooh, running.
Bike riding or hiking?
Oh, that's so hard. Hiking.
Camping or hotel?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go with hotel. I love camping, but it's the amenities. I'm gonna have to go with hotel. Camping provides a natural nature amenities, so I love that. But at this point in my life, I'm gonna go with hotel.
Okay, so this is gonna be 3. Boat, train, or plane?
Boat, train, or plane? Definitely plane. Air me up, beam me up, get the jets running. I love being overhead, the bird's eye view. Fun fact, I used to be a regional flight attendant.
Ooh.
I spent a year after grad school flying around for Envoy Air. So I love being in and out of planes and spent a lot of time up there. And so definitely plane whenever I can.
Okay, good stuff.
Pray for TSA, pray for all of the workers and our government, but that's not a story.
Blue space or green space?
What is that?
So water or forest?
Oh, I figured that's what you were. Ooh, that is hard for me. As of now, and this is it feels so counterintuitive, I will say forest. I am such a water person. I love, since I've been little, like being near water and around water, submerged in water, playing in water has always been like a calming, safe space, showers, all the things. But nature and something about like greenery and seeing things and feeling so small amongst like big trees and mountains, and taking a hike, a literal hike where you have no service, is you and nature, that has been doing something deeply to my soul. So I would say green at the moment. Okay.
Outdoor dining or indoor? So outdoor can even be like you went to a cookout, you set up in the park or whatever, or indoor at a restaurant.
Outdoor dining. I am a foodie. My husband and I, we love food. We also love to entertain. So we do a lot of dinners and dinner parties, but I think it's something about bringing food outdoors, especially if it's a cozy setting. If you're at a potluck, a barbecue, you went to a friend's house and they just got the garage open grilling, like getting a mix of fresh air, but then like the whiff of whatever you're eating. Maybe bonus points if you are by water and having like, a full course dinner. I think outdoors, especially weather permitting, I will always choose. And I don't mind like flies and bees and all that thing. It's just like, nature, being submerged in it.
Okay, so nature and weather. So our final question, pick your season.
Ooh, fall, 1,000%, easy one for me. I love the fall time. I love what it spiritually, physically, and literally represents with changing and transformation, gearing up, reaping harvest, all those things. And the colors, the crisp air, I'm an outerwear person, so I love the fall time.
Good stuff. All right, y'all. So on that note, we are going to land this plane. But before we totally unbutton those seatbelts, unfasten those seatbelts, and deplane, we're going to get a tour of the studio.
Let's do it. Welcome to Studio Harris. Come right into the open layout space. We have put some floor mats. They're really cushiony, so good for mat work. We have hanging and shoe storage here. We'll be getting some bag storage soon. This is a nice little entryway mirror where you can take your selfies. We have some things under construction. We have more equipment in our sound system back there to be updated. Over here, we have our restroom, our lovely single-use restroom here. Right now we have the dimmers on, but this light does change. Thank you. We DIY'd the whole thing, trying to make it look a little warm and cozy in here so you can use your restrooms and do all the things.
Good stuff.
Yes, over here, this is just all of our stuff we're preparing for Pilates. We have our mats here. There should be about 13 or 14 mats of foam roller. This is also where the barrels and stuff will live. We're getting storage for there. You have some nice windows, open space of the trees outside. You have some nice skylight. It looks really nice in the day and night. Plants, our plant babies. Welcome to our reformer space in the studio. We recently got 2 new reformers from Pilates US, Personal Hour. They are phenomenal and they have 5 springs. They are fully equipped with the boxes, some extra headrests. We have jump boards. We have the padded and the gripper foot extenders for the top, a few hand weights and some magic circles here. We also have the batons so we can do fully loaded Pilates reformer classes. We have a TV hanging here for self-practice and use on a swivel so we can do classes if we should choose to connect. I can't wait to watch your YouTube video here. It's also available to the Reformer Studio, and we have some arches which we use for events. These can be decorated for backdrops with banners or balloons or anything that you like. And yes, this is our Reformer Studio. You can join me for Pilates mat every Friday night at 6:30, Saturday morning at 8:30, and Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. here at Studio Harris. We're located on the west side of Chicago at 2701 South Fulton Street, 3rd floor. Our website is studioharris33.com. You can also find us on Instagram at studioharris33 and myself, Ravenology33. I hope to see you soon. Come on in.